Well, hi, it's great to have you with us for the time we're going to do some 5-on-5. I tell you what I'm going to do this time. The fellow that I like the most in the Old Testament is Joshua. Just a great guy. And I just love reading about him. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through, first of all, we're going to start in Exodus, and then we're going to go into Numbers. And I'm just going to look at the passages, all the passages that talk about Joshua. Of course, we're not going to get very far. We're going to do 7, but I'm just going from one passage to the next passage where they mention Joshua. And I just want to pull out a trait in his life that made him such an extraordinary person. And these traits that we're going to look at are things that you and I should have as Christians today. So it's pretty simple. So let's have a look at it. Well, the first time we find any mention of Joshua is found in Exodus chapter 17 and verse 9. Now, what had happened, they got out of Egypt and they got into the desert. They were getting up to the borders of Canaan, and they come to Rephidim, and there wasn't any water, and the people began to complain, and they were giving Moses a very difficult time. And all of a sudden, they come up to a group of people, a tribal group called Amalek. Now, there's no Amaleks around today, but Amalek obviously descended from, or the Amalekites, they descended from Amalek. And Amalek was a grandson of Esau. He was raised actually in Esau's house. And I'm sure he learned a lot about Jacob, and he grew to hate Jacob, and he hated the Jews. So when he heard about them coming up through their territory, the Amalekites headed out to fight the Jews. Now, we know at this time, as you'll see a little bit later, we'll read an example later, where the Jews numbered about 2 million, 600,000 adults, and the rest of them were children. But they really didn't have an army. And we find that Moses calls out a fellow by the name of Joshua, first time we've heard of him. And it's amazing how God takes people that you and I have never heard of, but he knows the quality of these people, the traits that they have, and uses them, just ordinary people, but uses them in extraordinary ways. And it's one of the things I love about the Word of God. Anyway, here we find in Exodus chapter 17, verse 9, this is the verse. And it says, "Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses turned and he said to Joshua, 'Choose for us men to go out and fight Amalek. And tomorrow I will stand at the top of on the hill with the staff of God in my hand.' So Joshua did as Moses had told him, and he fought Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill." Now, you know the story very well. Aaron and Hur held up the arms of Moses. While they held his arms up, they were able to defeat the Amalekites. When their arms came down, they were being defeated by them. So what does this tell us about, what's the trait that we see here about Joshua? Well, it's a very simple statement. He said, Moses turned to Joshua and he said, "Get some men and go out and fight the Amalekites." He gave him instructions, and he obeyed him and went ahead and got a few of his friends together. I don't know how many. Got his friends together and went out and fought the Amalekites and won. You know, one of the things that's very important about individuals, you, me, particularly our children, is obedience. Live Action, a ministry team, when they came to our church so many years ago, said, you know, obedience is doing what you're told, when you're told, with the right attitude. And that was Joshua. Obedience. Tremendous trait is obedience. So what do we find? There are 3 things that we find about people that are obedient. The first thing is this, that they respect leadership. You know, we're struggling today in our school systems and just in society with a great sense of disrespect for leadership. You know, people that are obedient, who've been taught obedience in their home, and that's where it begins, have respect for leadership. Second thing is they respond favorably to leadership. You know, one of the things you as a parent want children who respond favorably to you. I've got 3 boys, and one of the joys of my life is watching them grow and mature, and they respond favorably, I think, in most cases, to Cynthia and my advice. And the third thing is they respect they repeat the actions of favor of leadership. They follow good leadership. They know what good leadership is. They respect it, they respond to it, and they repeat leadership. What does that do? when you have good leadership. So one of the things that Moses' father-in-law said to Moses, find some good fellows to get good advice from and follow them. Obedience. How important that is. Well, that's the lesson for today, and we're going to look at something else, another trait of Joshua tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. Look forward to having you with us tomorrow night, Tuesday night. God bless.